Hello everyone, today we're going to be continuing on with our NHL season preview series, and today we have the Calgary Flames. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new to hockey or if you're new to the channel in general, as I would appreciate you sticking around if you would like, as I'm hoping to do this as a full-time career and would appreciate it. Anyway, let's talk about the Flames. Calgary had their second best regular season in franchise history with a record of 50-21-11 for 111 points and a Pacific Division title in this season before losing to their Alberta rivals, the Edmonton Oilers, in the second round in 5 games. And then the sky really did look like it was falling there for a bit, didn't it? You had Johnny Gaudreau, who ended up wanting to be out, ended up signing with the Columbus Blue Jackets in free agency. And then, of course, Matthew Tkachuk was traded to the Florida Panthers, and a rebuild was kind of what we thought would happen. But a big thing as to why it didn't was because of some moves that Brad Treliving did as the Flames GM, and that is a big part of all this. So, what are some storylines for this season, and what are my expectations for Calgary for this year? Let's talk about the storylines, and then we'll get to the final point of my expectations. The first is how the team transitions the talent that they had to what they have currently. This roster has lost some guys. Like we said, Johnny Gaudreau is departed, and he will be without, or the team will be without, young gun Matthew Tkachuk after his departure as well, which then necessitated, if you wanted to say, the Flames to go out and get some guys to stay competitive outside of not only Huberdeau, but of course you got Wieger in that Tkachuk trade, and then you got Nazem Kadri in free agency. All of these guys are going to be big additions to this team, for better or worse. And how will the team fare? It's a great question, as losing Gaudreau, who is an underrated player in my eyes, or at least was really just a loss that would not be good for most teams. Yeah, he had a 115-point season, and you just are getting a guy or losing a guy that has that potential. But then, of course, you lose Tkachuk, and I think that is going to be a big concern here, as Matthew is coming off of a 40-plus goal season as well, and that's just got me sidetracking about how good he is. Anyway, I am saying this team could fare well with the additions that they have. Yes, they lost those two, but Huberdeau has been a very good offensive player for the Florida Panthers in his time with the team, and has shown that he is definitely worthy of being a top-line guy. I am curious to see if he is effective outside of Florida, since he's not going to be playing with Alexander Barkov, but that remains to be seen. And I do think that his value on his contract could be much bigger than expected, or I should say the amount that he is owed versus the value you'd get. But in general, it is kind of good to see that he is locked in for the long term in Cowtown and looks to be a part of this team's long-term plan, theoretically. And the beauty of the situation is he could be in a position, though, to focus more now on offense than defense. I know a lot of people say he doesn't focus on defense, and his defensive numbers aren't anything that you get thrilled about, but you look at the blue line, and I think he could possibly just be able to do his thing on the offensive end. Now, speaking of the blue line, one of the guys in this storyline will be about Mackenzie Wieger. Now, Wieger isn't a top-tier defenseman that people talk about, or one of those big-name defensemen, but he's certainly a guy that flies under the radar. The good news for his new team is that this guy is definitely capable of playing top-pairing minutes, and recently appears to have stated that he wants to stay in Southern Alberta and wants to get an extension done before the season starts. Hopefully I can get this preview out before that happens, but I have read multiple things that him and his agent would like to get the pen to paper ASAP, and I would really be curious to see what this contract would look like. I would not hate it as long as it was not insanely long, and it was not a contract that you're paying him north of like $7.5–8 million. Other than that, I think you would be getting a really good steal. The past 2 seasons, EvolvingHockey.com has him valued at about a little over an average of $10 million per season. That's while playing only 134 games in that span. Personally, I think you'd love to have him, of course, but you don't want to go paying guys, especially blue liners, $10 million or anything like that. Do I think he could be worth $10 million some years? Maybe, but in general, I very rarely say this guy should get paid this sum of money, so arguably I'd like to get him for about $7 million. I'm not exactly sure what he is looking for right now, but I would say if you could get in that range, then you are good. and that is going to be a good focal point because I believe he's a UFA after this year, so it creates some buzz that is not exactly positive, but you do have a storyline here there. And for the final part of this first storyline, we could see the transition and getting a guy like Nazem Kadri. Kadri signed a long-term deal with the team and looks to be on their second line to start the year. This is coming off of a very good run in Colorado. This year was especially good for him for this past season, and he could make that second line very, very lethal. This group holds Blake Coleman and Andrew Mangiapane as his line mates, and they should have no trouble getting the puck into the offensive zone with Kadri and Mangiapane, and then also get Coleman to probably carry out the puck for the forwards, assuming a blue liner doesn't do it, but Coleman could be that guy if they needed to get the puck out of their own end. And in general, I'm really liking Nazem here. He is a player that is controversial, and not so much in recent years. I mean, I do think obviously you have the Binnington situation, but all around you're looking for him to show that he is capable of being maybe a franchise pillar, not the player, but a pillar. But I would say with the additions of Huberdeau, Wieger, and Kadri, they definitely managed to do well for themselves for the short term after losing Goodreau and Tkachuk, which sting, but it's very odd to lose that much talent, 200 plus point players if I'm not mistaken, and then be able to probably be fine afterwards, but we'll see. As for the second storyline, we will get to watch if the Flames struggle to score goals compared to last season. In the past season, Calgary's top 4 goal scorers accounted for 54.6% of the team's goals, and 2 of those players, of course, being Johnny and Matthew, are not there anymore. Will that be an issue this year? Theoretically, yes. You're looking at the team that finished 6th for goals for per 60 and could face a variety of issues. One being that Lindholm and Mangiapane both had career years for goals last season, and a regression could be in the works here that would possibly hurt the team. Now, let's say that Huberdeau and Kadri are able to fill the void of the other top 2 goal scorers like we mentioned, which I doubt. Then you'd be in better shape. You're looking at 2 guys to score 40 plus goals that had never done so to my knowledge. I know Kadri had a 32 goal season a few years ago. Huberdeau, I want to say like 33, but all around they have never cracked that 40 goal mark, so that leaves me to be a little skeptical and thinking that this team could be in a worse spot offensively in terms of getting goals compared to last season. Surely though, a healthy Tyler Toffoli might be able to shoulder the load a bit, and after that it gets a little bit more unpredictable. One person that I could see possibly helping, it's definitely a long shot as for right now because you're not exactly sure what you're getting, is former first-round pick Jacob Peltier. And he was a 26th overall pick in the 2019 draft and is coming off of a 27-goal season with a formerly known Stockton Heat in the AHL. They're the Calgary Wranglers now, I want to say. I can't remember, of course, right now. But yeah, build seems to be a big concern for Peltier, as he was 160 pounds or something like that when he was drafted. From what I could find online, it seems he's about 180, 185 now. Is that exaggerated? Possibly, but I'm really not looking for him to be a big body player. They have guys like Lucic if they want to play that big style or that brutal style, but from his scouting reports and from what I've seen offensively, he is a guy that can create offense. It's tough to say if it'll transition to the NHL, but is eager to make his speed an asset to make things happen for his team in their end, or to possibly help with a breakaway. All in all, I can't really say what he's going to do for this team or if he'll even get considerable minutes. I mean, who knows with Daryl Sutter, but I would say that the first-round pick could come in and help alleviate some of these scoring concerns. Other guys could come along as well for this season, and I think that while they will score goals at a lower rate, you would hope for them, maybe guys like Blake Coleman with the deal he has could help out a little bit, and then Dylan Dube, he had a career-high 18 seasons. Tough to say again, but all around, kind of a weird situation, but still, they're going to be all right, probably. And for the final storyline, though, we're going to talk about what this season means to Calgary. I haven't really talked about a lot of narrative situations in these previews, and I think I should do more in the coming season when I do previews next season. But I think for Calgary, this season means quite a bit. honestly everything. The team had a great year last year, just to fall on their faces in the second round. It's been kind of more in the same for Calgary for a very long time. Maybe some years they'll make the playoffs, but guess what? They're not going to get a deep run, and that just has been the story. Postseason, the Flames just don't mesh as of the past 20 years almost. But now they're out to prove something even more with some of the new shiny faces they have, and hopefully get to rub it into some of the guys' faces that left. Goodreau is in Columbus, so the Flames have a good chance to get the last short-term laugh. I don't think that they're that petty, but if they were, they could definitely go there. But as for Tkachuk, he's in Florida, so that makes the situation a little different. Florida is projected to be a playoff team, and it'd be really cool if these teams met in the Cup. That'd be crazy, but if they did, holy cow. I think for hockey fans that are really, really hockey fans, that pay attention and are into the league and not just kind of people that are fringe fans, that would be just really cool to see. But in general, yeah, they've got a lot to prove. They lost Edmonton in 5 games, so the Flames and their fans really are probably sick of enduring all this, and I think that all makes for a very juicy story, as I'm kind of getting a movie script vibe for this team. Yes, they lost a lot of talent. They made some guys come on in after they'd played with other teams and are hoping for the best results, and they have a bone to pick with a lot of people. So, having said all this, what are my expectations for Calgary this season? I am going to get boldish and say that they win the Pacific. Now, I didn't check the projected standings just yet online for the Flames, but I'm pretty sure they would probably be odds-on favorites for the Pacific title, as they are... I can't really see a team that would be definitely contending for sure, as Vegas was kind of that pick that might be there, but Leonard looks to be out for the year as far as we know, so that would be something holding them back. And I do think they are going to be in a good spot to win the Pacific. Daryl Sutter is one of the more respected coaches in the league. He does things a little differently than maybe I would do, but of course I'm just a guy in front of a camera, and he is a guy that has won 2 Stanley Cups as a head coach. So yeah, but in general, you look at him, he is a coach a lot of people like because of his legacy in LA, and they also have a capable top 6 to keep things rolling for them. On top of that, their blue line, in my opinion, might be one of the best in the league. I don't know if you look at them and say, oh, they've got the best names, but you look at the depth and you think this could be a pretty good group for them. And they have Jacob Markstrom in it to provide that consistency when he is on. Will that translate to playoff success? Nobody can say that 100%, but I do think if they give Markstrom a little bit more rest in the regular season, then they won't have a potential collapse early on in the playoffs. They have Dan I'm forgetting his last name, Vladar, that is a backup. Maybe he could take over some starts in the regular season to keep things fresh, or just go from wherever here. But in general, I am really liking what I see for Calgary for the now. In the long term, it's a little scary. I can't project that far out, but yeah, I'd say that they should win the Pacific this year and have a chance to maybe make a run conference finals if they're feeling juicy. Anyway, what are your expectations for the Calgary Flames? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go with hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.